one final time. Okay, I'm still getting used to using Firefox window preview, and it does some odd things here and there. So let me exit out of this, copy a link here, and then be live again. That was annoying. Okay, store it. Just I had prepped everything and then it didn't work. That's annoying. Okay. Technical difficulties stemming from my own mistakes with managing files. Okay. Okay, so prototyping things. I've got the idea for this book that's sort of like a zoetrope. I'm not 100% sure how well it will function in the physical, actual elements of it all, but I'm stitching together a book today. That's what I'm doing. And with that, I have this file. Okay, this is something that I made yesterday and then added some other things earlier today that is a page in this book. This structure that I have here that functions as an addition, I think is maybe what it's called. I forget what it's called in book making terms, but it is a vector-based file that can be used in Cricut and similar CNC machines that just is the outline of these structures, and this is an adaptive version of it that it's something called Cuddle. I'm all over the place. I wish I had just not shown one file. Anyway, so this is the structure of the book. It's based on some math elements of if you have a triangle that is of a certain length here, how long this section will be on the edge over here, odds and ends. I think you're mostly going to be interested in the physical elements of all of this. So let me come back here to OBS, turn off Firefox, and show you what I had prepared. So this is what I just showed you briefly, but cut out on a Cricut cutter to make these separate pages. And what's different with these pages is I have holes along the middle here for binding. Sorry for the issues with me getting this all set up, but there are holes for binding, and these are just loose previews on the edges to get a sense of where things are. There are the little holes on the side. So this is a 14-page book. There are 7 of these structures. Typically, if you were doing a Coptic stitch binding, you would have more than 1 page per folio. Maybe they're called a folio. But in this case, I'm having thicker items that are meant to sort of be isolated on their own. I'm figuring out how I'm describing these as I'm talking through things, so back and forth a bit as I'm going around. But those are all separated out there. Cut on Cricut. I'll clean this up later. And so I have each of these, and the structure of these is such that you fold it over in this direction, and then fold both these in the same direction, And there are slits in place to where they fall and hold the structure outside one another. And then it attaches to the next one. But I want to have this held together in the center location as well, where it folds down and they all go together. And maybe you can see a tiny bit here. Let's see. Let me hold it open against a dark background. The holes right there is where I'm going to be sewing. With that, I also made some covers that are the same size as one of these individual pieces, and used a screw punch to put the holes out of. You can use something like a drill, you can just poke something through it, you can use an awl, but this creates a clean hole that is less likely to tear. And how this functions is there's a round blade on the front end. It's a circle that's shaved or brought to an edge, and when you push down on this mechanism, it twists. And so when you just use a piece of paper because it's going to be cleaner, but you push down and it cuts a hole. These are pretty small. This is like 1.5 millimeter across, which is still larger than I need, but you can get slightly smaller, slightly larger. It's called the screw punch. I forget what brand this is, but it's a Japanese made thing because when I was researching them, everyone was like, that's the best. Okay, so we have the necessary components. We have the selection of folios that are these machine cut pieces of paper that fold down into their own structure so they can be folded tight. I was going to incorporate magnets, but those haven't arrived yet. And so this is just a prototype to get a sense of size, scale, and how binding it together will affect the way that it holds together. So all of these are folded. They're in the right order. No, there's not an order here, but eventually I'll need an order. Just gotta orient them correctly. That's more what I'm getting at. And now I have my front and back cover. When you're doing a Coptic stitch binding, it has to be an even number, so that it comes in and out an equal number of times. This will not be an archival book. This is just a test, so I'm not going to be using... I have this linen thread that's non-acidic, but I am going to, for my own sake, be using this lump of beeswax. Just going to give myself a decent chunk of string. This is stuff that I use for embroidery, but for right now, I'm just using it because it's what I got, and it is less likely to have issues. I have to see how much of this binding method I have committed to memory and how much I don't, but I'm just doing a bunch of knots on here as a stopper knot, and then you can do Coptic stitching using a straight needle, but it's a lot easier to use a curved needle. These needles pop up in some bookbinding. They also pop up in some upholstery, stuff like that, where you need to dip into some sort of thing. So this is beeswax, wax that comes from honeycomb, and it helps to prevent your thread from getting tangled as easily, because it gives it a little bit of lubrication on it, and you just sort of run the string through it and it will pull wax onto the string and make it so it just holds a little bit better and it's less likely to have issues. It slides through things a little bit easier. So the weirdest part about Coptic stitching is the front end and the tail end. The middle of it, pretty easy. but I'm going to thread my needle and see what I remember of this and whether or not to look stuff up. Thread this needle. And I might actually try switching lenses for this next section so I can get some closer up images. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to turn off my overhead camera, switch to a macro lens, and then you'll have a closer view of what's happening. Okay, macro lens is on. You can see that it's closer. I can also adjust and focus much closer in. So, when you are doing Coptic stitch, the middle part, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The weird part is the start and the end. So, I'm going to start by going into the bottom hole here of my first folio. And let's see how well that's stop or not. I might need to tie it together later. So anyway, that comes out, and then you have your cover. And on the cover, what you gotta do is you go in from the outside, I'm pretty sure, and then you go out past, and from, so you come in from the outside, you come stitch from inside the folio, come out, go down on the outside of the cover, come up, and then, I have this backwards, you come from the left side or the top side, whatever, you can go in either direction, and then you loop once, yeah, okay, loop once, pull through, and then stitch back into this hole that I came out of. And then you do a similar thing for the second hole that you're working from. So that's there. It just looped right around that. Okay. Did a weird twisty thing because this hole is larger. So let's undo that. This is a learning process for me. So I'm going to undo this. Come back out of here. Loop around this. This is where the curved needle comes in handy. Once I get this cover on, then I'll put a new tape in. And then come back up through here. We should be good. And do the same thing again. Come out. Go down out through here. Nope. That's wrong. Is it right? No, that's wrong. Okay. Up through here. Loop around. After this, everything gets a bit easier. Pull that. Now we're on to the next. Trying to do too much all at once. I'll put on 3. Next folio. So fold this down and add this guy. This goes in here. Pull that down. Come out here. Stitch down under here. And add the next folio. It's much faster when you just have 2 holes. Go up in here. Come out here. And stitch right around there. This might be easier to visualize if we're using darker thread, but this is where I'm at. And then next piece, next folio. Stitch this in here. Pull it through. Come out here. I'm going to refocus this a little so it's not quite so out of focus. You can more clearly see the structure now. Let's see if I can do this without moving too much. So this comes around the last stitch, and that's what connects it to the previous pages. Pull that, and then add the next page, and you go in through the outside, pull that through, and then come out the other one. This is all pretty tight and small. I should really hold this a little bit different, but okay, I'm gonna zoom back out because it's easier to maintain. Now, stitch around the previous one, pull it through, one more easy one of these, and then I have to do the cover, which is the annoying part. It's a weird bit where you have to come around the cover. There you go. I need to review how this works. Give me one moment. I need to review how to do this, because it's been a while. Okay, out through the outside. Come through. Do. Clip this. Okay, that's gonna make this a lot easier. So I have this through a cover. This was not the best planned thing. That's okay. One last bit of review on this. I'm making a video while thing. I'll watch one. Okay. Need to have this in here. It's going on the inside. Should have promoted something that I was more confident with the process of. Anyway, that goes there. Loop the needle around once. And then into the signature. Okay. There's a loosely bound book. I'm still figuring out how best to attach things outside of that, but let's see how well the math on this goes. Whether or not I mess things up. And where things need to trim a little bit or adjust a bit. Seems pretty good. How does that feel structurally? Feels okay. I need to figure out how I want to bind this to the cover. Because I could actually, physically glue this. I can't glue this in, though. Structurally works okay. Let me use some double-sided tape and see how this feels. Also, I'm gonna switch the camera once more, or the lens. I'm gonna go black for a second so I can get a wider angle. Okay. This is not the smoothest thing. Curious if I have a way that I could structure this that requires less folding or is pre-attached. Could be something like a sewn element. Like the pages are already sewn and they have a maximum length. Let's see how this feels when I attach this page. I like the feel of that being attached. The scale of everything works okay. If this is exactly the size of this and not slightly larger, then it could just latch in and overlap that section. I'm not sure. But it feels better than the other two did because they've got a center point that they're connected on, but it has some give. As opposed to the other ones were more structurally similar. Also, does it feel, I think it feels better to, as far as orientation goes, to have these tabs at the top here. sketch through what I want to try. So I've got these things that I've been doing where I spray paint onto a surface, and what I want to see if it works is having these exterior bits function as a stencil, or when I fold it, I just sort of go through and spray, and then I have the animation running along the side. And that should work, and it's an interesting little item. But I'm not sure how well it works like long term. If you wanted to maintain this as just like its own little book, whether or not it would be too much. To unfold and fold and fold again, because it puts a lot of weight on the paper, a little bit of wear and tear. It's a fun thing to set up once, but once it's set up, is it appealing to leave it set up, or is it worse? I don't know. Let me try trimming this down. If this just connects on its own outside of this. Still feels pretty good. I need to figure out something that allows a central pivot point, because right now it's just a wheel. But what I need is possibly something like sewn in, or a little disc that I can insert, or a pin or something. I got some straight pins, and I don't remember where they are. Let me find my straight pins. That was easy. And I'm going to cut out just a section of this. I'm going to tape it flat. Spin it. But how would I package that? I'm not sure. That's a mystery to me, but it feels nice. I think it would work to animate. There's only really one way to test this out. How long do I got? I might just do a secondary prototype of this. Like another one of these guys. Have a better sense of how to assemble it and such. Yeah. So I make sure music's still going. Okay. So let me pull up the animation that I'm curious about putting into this one because it functions well enough for this. Not this hand. Let me browse and find this. Lab designs. Paint spatter run cycle. GIFs. And which one's this? Not that one. This one. Okay. So I've got this run cycle, and this is 15 frames long. Or actually, this one's 16. But if I make it 14 frames, then it's easy enough to put into this format. Because I have an even number of stuff and things. And it just falls into it. And I already have this traced out. So what I need to do now is, let's pull up this book test, and what I'm going to do is adjust this rectangle location, which is rectangle. I'm actually going to adjust the scale, not the location. So let me come down to this scale, and I'm going to, what do I want to multiply this by? I want to make it times 1920. And this is times 10.80. Nope. 1.08. And that gets me an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. And it fits within that space. So let's just copy this and put it on rectangle 01. And now we have two rectangles that are that size. And I'm going to come back down to this component and export this SVG for Cricut. And let's see how this opens in Illustrator. This is where I need to be more aware of order of things. So what I'm going to do is open Illustrator and pull in a thing that I just saved out. So let's open this download that I just had done, and I need to ungroup and release that compound path. This is for my own sake. Just give that a red outline and come back over to OBS so you can see what's happening. Illustrator. So I opened up what I just had, and now I need to use those rectangles as reference points. So I need to open this other file that I have, Live Designs, Paint Spatter Run Cycle, and I'm just going to use this one. Does this have... Do I have a version of this that has That's annoying for me. Thought I had these outlined with the rectangles. So let's open up both of these. That's not what I want. Wait, do I have it just... No. Wait, do I have this in run? Yeah, okay. Not that one. Blender rubbing, rub cycle. Yeah, okay. I found it. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that. Okay. Let me... Yeah, grab all these. Copy these. Paste it into here. And then adjust the scale. So that these all fit into place. Well, let's throw these on a new layer so that I can select them all and adjust. Get these down to scale. They don't have to be perfect, but they have to align correctly. I think I'm okay just doing these. What am I? Oh, okay, these are grouped. Ungroup these. Okay, so that's frame 2 that I just put here, correct? Yeah. Okay, so I need to do frame 3. Five, 7, lock those. 9, 11, 13. This is 15, which I don't actually need. Also don't need 16, so get rid of that. And now let's put these in order. 1. Then I need to flip half of these. Oh, that's not what I want. What is this? Object, transform, reflect, vertical. Perfect. Okay. Now let's align these. These don't have to be perfect, but they gotta be more or less in place. Select same appearance. Get rid of those. Unlock this guy. No, I should be able to just select here. Wait, I need to get rid of these guys. Select same appearance. Delete those guys. Make compound path. Sweet. Okay. Make compound path. I just realized I need to do whatever. Okay, make. Why can't I make this a compound path? Same function. Okay. Let's select same. Right, just grab these guys and remove that outline, and let's just make this red. Throw it to the back. Oh, this is its own thing. Okay. Let's make these guys blue. Okay, let's move these guys to a new layer. Make them invisible. And now should be able to get away with just this is a weird workaround, but it should work. Okay. That's why. Small little bit there was why I couldn't make it a compound path. Okay. Ugh, all over the place. So should be good. Let me try pulling this into Cricut and see how it functions. Do these need to be reversed? They didn't need to be reversed at all. Backtrack. Object. Transform. Reflect. Because these will be... Wait, let me... I might have just undone something. Okay. So, if this is printed like this, as frame 1, frame 2. That was right. Yeah, okay. Just gotta redo the work that I just did. Okay. Select same appearance. Delete that. Select same appearance. Wait, did I save this? Oh, I did. Okay. Save this one as whatever. And open the one that I just finalized. Oof, that's nice that I don't have to redo that. Okay, open up Cricut. Design space. And see how this file does or doesn't function. Do not need that. Let's make this. It's 1. I'm going to make it and adjust after. We'll see how this goes. This might be all for naught. But maybe for something. I don't know. Anyway, come back here. Close out of that guy, close out of this guy, close out of this guy. Don't save any changes. Open up the last thing that I had. I think this is right. Because when these are, this is this direction. Yeah, I think I did it correctly. Or I messed it up. Live and learn. Now it's cutting out, it'll take a moment or two. While it's doing that, let me come back over here. What I was trying to figure out is when this is like flattened out and you have this page, it's too much, a little less. Okay, when you have this page flattened out and the little guy's running this way and it's folded down like that, it actually has to be reversed for one of them. That's the end of that tape. Should work. I will find out. While that's doing that, let me cut 2 new covers. Anybody I know who's done bookmaking and has cut themselves while working on something, it's during this process. When you hold down a ruler or a straight edge of some kind and you pull a craft knife along the side. I did it in college and it wasn't fun. But it's because you push down and then you're holding so tightly that sometimes your fingers, you want to hold it as close to the edge as possible to get the pressure down, but then you're not paying attention and you hold it down too close and the pressure pushes your finger over the edge. End up cutting yourself. That's all bookmaking. Typically, if you're doing bookmaking, you would use a archival material. This is just the back of a pad that I had, like a paper pad, and it functions, but it is not archival at all. It's pretty acidic because it's just like recycled paper. The fidelity on these guys is less than I'd hoped. I will need to adjust the size if I do this on a larger scale, or like I'm selling them or anything like that. But I can test the structure and see how it does or doesn't function. Let me mark this up. So this is 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. These do need to be larger, but I can manage that. This is just an easy means of keeping things in place. These little figures could be larger, and they will need to be in order to do the paint spatter bit. That's fun. Okay, I'm happy with that. Just formatting. I am going to see how well these sort of spatter. With at least one, maybe a couple. I'll clear these little guys off as well, because they will be annoying to have on that surface. Okay. I'm gonna see how these spatter with ink. as opposed to paint. So if these are being full, the idea is that it sort of functions as its own little stencil. You get a little figure. It's an interesting little format. I like this. I'll need to figure out a better way to handle these as I'm working. It might be that there's like a sheet of them and they're taped down with artist tape or something. But for now, yeah, my fingers are already just covering everything.
I give you the right.
I'm gonna wipe my fingers and fold all these before I assemble everything. Okay, now I need to like actually work with my fingers. This definitely needs to be larger. I'll let these dry a little bit while I get this prepped.
part of my real life.
It works. It would work better with larger holes. things to consider assembling. That's going to not function super well. For handling and stuff, because I'm going to get ink and stuff all over my fingers, so that's something to try in a different manner. If I could conceive of a better way to connect the pages together, this functions, but not perfectly. Larger holes. These little guys, the holes that are here, are tiny. It's a fun little novelty, but at this, it needs to be larger. Everything needs to be larger. Which I can make, or at least the scale is okay, but the size of the figures cut out, it's tiny. They need to be bigger. It's a fun thing to look at, having just these little guys sort of revealed through here. I think it's successful-ish. More things to refine. I also want to test utilizing magnets. Having magnets that hold the book closed and hold the book open in that form. Just and then ideally also it might be better to have a softer edge here for the latching portion, but I like it. I like this structure and such. Need to try it with larger cutouts, potentially a longer strip of paper. Right now I'm trying to make ones that I can fully cut out of just a single piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. Yeah, it works. And then I need to figure out a spinning structure. Because right now, this isn't a very practical thing long term. Also, I need to figure out the order. Because I think that was spinning counterclockwise. Light access to the interior. If I were to have just a disc underneath it, would that reflect more light coming in from above? More light to the middle is ideal, but not 100% necessary. It's more or less just a central pivot point. Okay, that's enough for me to come back to later. I'm going to leave this guy closed up and see how it feels, and mess around with other things in the future. But for now, I'm going to take a break. But also just clean some little bits off of my desk. Okay. Always little pieces of stuff that could be cleaned up. Okay, so figures need to be larger. The assembly process needs to be not all at once because my hands get immediately dirty. Potentially adjust the latching mechanism. Is there a better way to do this? Rectangles work fine, but it's like a default. I don't know if it even needs to like, it should latch. And then figure out how to close it, because right now it's just overlap it, but that's not a permanent solution. These are also backwards, which doesn't need to be. I could just flip it the other way. Okay. Yeah, these are reversed, which it would be nice if it could be like a assembly things. Okay. Stop messing with it for now. But I'm going to talk about, if you want to buy stuff from me, you can go to my web store, traceloops.com/store. If you want to purchase something and have it shipped outside of the US, you can email me, traceloops@traceloops.com. You can also email me with comments, concerns, questions, curiosities, commissions, etc., etc. Again, that is traceloops@traceloops.com. If you want to follow me on other platforms, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Spotify, all of those places. I'm Traceloops, TRACELOOPS. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/traceloops, where you'll find high-resolution versions of artwork that I create during streams. You'll also find a selection of tutorials, and then at higher tiers, new songs from me weekdays, and at the highest tier, you get a monthly postcard from me with original artwork on the front, little message on the back, and a discount to that aforementioned web store. Believe that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. I'll have this better organized in the future. Yeah. Have a good weekend. Adios.